I'm sorry, guys. We've had a nightmare. We have had a nightmare trying to get this up. So
It's
I hope
okay.
that we have sound now. And I
Sound?
apologize. That was a disaster.
Okay. We good now? Audio is good?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, audio is good. Let's start over then. Okay, basketball show post game outside of Neville Arena, where Alabama's just won 93-91. Walk off Mark Sears. Sears only had 9 points. That was his ninth point, five in regulation. Not the numbers you designed for an Alabama win. There was plans for a net cutting celebration in there. Auburn still your SEC champions, but no celebration inside as Alabama gets the win on the road today. Your first thought?
Um, my first thought is that Auburn's defense has been what kept them in games when they were close and has won them a number of games throughout the season. And they couldn't get a stop when they needed one. You know, they would cut Alabama's lead. I mean, Alabama led the majority of the game, 30 minutes, or Auburn only led for 8 minutes of the game. And when they would start gaining momentum, start hitting shots, cut the lead, tie it, or take the lead, it seemed like they couldn't get stops defensively to keep the offensive momentum rolling.
We're going to be here for a minute, so sit back and send us your comments. I want to go first comment here is about several of them about Chad Baker-Mazara. 10:32, I think it was. I don't have my notes in front of me here. Somewhere like that to go in the second half, and he commits a flagrant two, a blow to the back of the head of Chris Youngblood. And it's almost a year ago that something like that happened in the Yale game. Your thoughts on just that happening in such a big game, such a big moment from Chad Baker-Mazara again?
Yeah, I mean, he has to learn to control his emotions when games are physical, when games are tight in any game. But especially these are the ones where he seems to get in trouble when they are close. They are the emotional games. They are the super physical games. And I mean, I don't know what else to say other than he has to learn to control his emotions.
Alabama up 8 when that happened, says Landmine Believer there, making a comment that Auburn did close the gap and had some chances to win it there. How about Grant Nelson? If you watch the basketball show, our taped versions during the week, one of the big things we talked about in the show that aired Friday, and maybe many of you caught it today coming to the arena or getting ready for the game, we talked about Alabama players who had been slumping or not living up to potential. And the first name thrown out was Grant Nelson. And Grant Nelson today had a game like he had in the Sweet 16 last year against North Carolina. It was a massive game. He was there for every big rebound, every big shot.
Yeah, we talked about the fact that he had hit the last 3-point shot that he had hit was, I think it's February 11th. It was during the Texas game, and he hit three tonight. So he ended that drought from beyond the 3-point line, and I mean, yeah, he's a big reason that they won this game.
That is, Charlie says Nelson finally showed up. Big reason why he showed up and won the game today. But again, so many other Alabama players had to show up when Mark Sears, as I said, 5 in regulation, 9 for the game, including the big one at the end. You knew they were going to drop the play for him. One last shot. If he can get the shot off, you let him get the shot off. And he was able to get to the lane and hit a 2-point bucket. Sort of that mid-range that Nate hates that shot. Loves it this afternoon, though. But other guys had to step up. Give me some stats of guys who stepped up that usually don't. Let's start with Cliff Omoruyi. Cliff Omoruyi, this may have been his best game at Alabama.
Yeah, he had 15 points. He was 7 of 7 from the field. I didn't realize that until just now. So he shot 100%. He hit the only free throw that he took. He was the only Alabama player that was in deep foul trouble. He had 4 fouls, but did not foul out. 2 turnovers, 2 assists, 8 rebounds in 21 minutes. So that's not a bad stat line for the big red dog that we heard about so much this offseason.
And I know a lot of Alabama fans have been sort of waiting on him to be that. You know, I think they were expecting that almost every game. You got it in a big way to end the season. Cliff says, Walt says Cliff was clutch there. I'll tell you this: when you talk about this Alabama team, so close at Tennessee, got the loss on the big bank at the end, or the big shot at the end for them. Florida beat them pretty handily at home, but that team has been close in some losses. They played Auburn really well in the 9-point loss up in Tuscaloosa. Auburn beat them by 9. That's a gutsy effort there on a team that had lost 4 of 6. That team showed you a little bit today.
Yeah, they did. And like you said, they've had a lot of close games. Most recently, the Tennessee game, which they did not walk away on the right side of that one. But Nate Oates said after that game, I can't remember if it was the midweek press conference or immediately after the game, but he said, we are going to be the most prepared team in these end of game situations from here on out because he saw what happened. That was obviously on the defensive side of the court. It happened. I mean, they turned the ball over, the 5-second violation, but it was a defensive issue letting, what's his name, get the shot off. I'm drawing a blank right now. The Tennessee player.
Oh, it was, yeah.
I'm
that
drawing
guy.
a blank.
It was that
Whatever.
guy. Yeah, the
But
Tennessee
he's
player.
irrelevant.
It was a Tennessee player.
But he said, I'm going to have this team more prepared for these crunch time situations, and they came out on the right side of it tonight.
And they had a lot of
today.
They had a lot of clutch, big moments where they had to get the ball in. Auburn's so good at defense out of inbound plays and out of timeouts. Alabama, got him in. No 5-second call there. Steven says, I think Sherelle pushing Cliff is starting to pay some dividends here. Here's something pretty crazy. Check me on the stat here, but one of our viewers is saying 0 turnovers for Mark Sears. Do you have 0 turnovers for Mark Sears? I don't know if that shows up on your stat
I have
line
one.
there.
He had one turnover.
One turnover tonight. Even that is unbelievable.
Wait, he played 40 minutes.
Played 40 minutes.
According to the
40
box
of the
score.
45 tonight. So
Yeah, that's crazy.
OC Jim says Bama played more physical today than they had in the last 5 games. I thought they played pretty physical at Tennessee, but they did get after it today. They did challenge Auburn's physicality. They didn't play that physical against Auburn the first time, and I think that's why Auburn had their way with them. Alabama, so many points at the rim. Give me points in paint if you can.
Alabama outscored Auburn 52-40. So they had 12 more points in the paint. They both had 22 bench points, so it was a wash there. And then out rebounded as well, which is something that both of these teams have struggled with in their past couple games.
Yeah. So 52-40. Alabama in paint points. I mean, you got Johni Broome on the inside and Dylan Cardwell and Chaney Johnson. I think a lot of people really surprised that Alabama had so much success at the rim today, doing that, and not really so much at the 3-point line. Tell me the 3-point numbers for Alabama.
Alabama shot 32% from 3. They were 7 of 22.
7 threes. That's not usually a NATO's designed 3-point day to get a W there. More of your comments here on Alabama's win over the SEC champs Auburn, 93-91 in overtime down here at Neville. Royal Payne says if Reed comes back in the tourney, it'll be nice rotation piece there. He's a defensive guy who hadn't played in a long time. I don't know if he's coming back this year or not. They've settled into a nice 9-person rotation there. Michael said Bama led most of the game. Taylor hit that earlier. What was that, 30 minutes of the game?
Yeah, Auburn only led for 8 minutes and 54 seconds.
Michael said Aiden played Broome about as good as you can there, and talking about Aiden Sherelle, spelled differently than Aiden Holloway there. Yeah, when Sherelle was in there, you play him about as good as you can. But Johni Broome, I don't know if that's a career high for him, but those big shots he hit in overtime were huge.
Yeah, he kept Auburn in the game in overtime. He hit back-to-back threes. And something that we talked about earlier in the game was I hate every single time that he looks like he's about to shoot a 3-point shot. I'm like, no, what are you doing? What are you doing? And then he'll hit one, and I'm like, I was just kidding, what? Keep doing what you needed to do. But he came up big time, and I know that they didn't win, but I do feel like his overtime performance has to mean something in terms of the National Player of the Year race. That's not what we're here to talk about, but I do feel like he showed that he could, like we've seen him do a couple times this season, take over a game. Obviously, could not win it at the end, but he did his part.
J-Mac 13-13. So Sears was held in check. Holloway, Youngblood, and Stevenson were pretty much non-existent. Give me Holloway, Youngblood, and Stevenson's numbers there. Holloway first.
Holloway was 2 of 5 from the field, 1 of 3 from 3. He had 5 points, 2 turnovers. Youngblood had 9 points. He was 4 of 10 from the field, 1 of 3 from 3.
Yeah.
No turnovers.
And a bandage. Got a bandage.
Yeah, and a Band-Aid on his eyebrow.
And then Stevenson.
Had 3. He scored 3 points. He was 1 of 2 from the field, 50% from the free throw line, and had 2 turnovers.
So none of those guys were into double digits. How'd they end up with 93 points? Who was the leading scorers again?
Grant obviously had 23. LeBaron had 15. Cliff had 15. And then Sears and Youngblood had 9. Wow. Holloway had 5. Diabate had 6. Stevenson had 3. Sherelle had 8.
Hunter says, what's crazy, it's the series split this year between these two teams, intense past two meetings, and we could get round 3 next week. If it happens now, Alabama's a 3 with the win. Auburn's
Yes.
a 1.
Yep.
So Alabama will play the early evening game, and Auburn will play the first one right out of the gate on Friday. Remember, we're at the Losers Bar on Friday, live in our normal time, and then we'll all walk in, watch Auburn start off the SEC tournament on Friday at 12. Bama will play the first game in the early session. Only way Auburn and Alabama meet again would be in the SEC championship game on Sunday. That would be insanity, I would say, at that point,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
I really don't even want to see it, to be honest.
Someone's going to end up getting hurt, like actually injured, I think, because there is so much. I mean, it's a rivalry game. There's a lot of emotion, and the players feel it, the coaches feel it, everyone feels it, the fans feel it, and it was physical from the jump. It was a very physical game from the tip off. So, I mean, I think it would be an entertaining game, but
Cliff didn't do anything but get easy rebounds and put them back. Auburn, for some reason, had no interest at all in boxing him out. I sort of think that I only know what Cliff has done here,
yeah,
and I didn't really go back and watch a lot of his Rutgers stuff. That pretty much is his game, I think, is the alley oops, the rebound putbacks, those type things there. So I don't really know. I mean, he's not a guy like Johni Broome who's going to step out and shoot a 3.
no,
Right?
no,
That's
no.
that's sort of his game there. Laura says Broome's 34 points is crazy. Got to make free throws though. I was surprised. I mean, we've watched these teams all year long. We've talked about them being 2 of the best teams in the country all year long, and yet both teams on this stage today. It's nothing new for Alabama, but Auburn struggled at the free throw line just like Alabama did.
Yeah, Auburn shot 64.7% from the free throw line. Alabama shot 66%. Alabama was 16 of 24. Auburn was 11 of 17. So, but I feel like they started the game in the first half. We were talking about Alabama's free throw. They
hit their first 4, and I said,
Yeah.
I told Taylor, I said, I don't know if Alabama's hit 4 free throws in a row all year, and then
Yeah.
they missed the next one.
Yeah, they were 75% in the first half. And then missed a few down the stretch. But the first half, I mean, they shot free throws better than they had been.
If you're just hopping on now, the 3,100 of you who are watching, this is the basketball show post game. We've been doing this all year. Taylor Corn, Jim Dunaway, part of the next round. We're at Neville Arena this afternoon after Alabama's 93-91 win. We're here for a couple of more moments as we get your post game comments here. I was on the court as the game ended, and there's good video, really, if you're an Alabama fan, of Alabama leaving the court after the win, after Bruce had stopped the students from throwing towels and stuff at Alabama's players.
Yeah.
They went in what? That's what happened. They went to review, as for some reason we can't have a normal celebration. It was easily, the shot was off. They reviewed it, bucket counted, and then the Alabama players leave. You have to walk right past the student section. Good video there of them leaving, including, if you want to go watch it, Grant Nelson stopping and giving the crane shot back to the Auburn students that he had done earlier. And it was an intense moment there as they made their way into the tunnel celebrating. Then they got back into the tunnel. I was able to observe this. I didn't shoot video of this. Outside of their locker rooms, they all waited. Mark Sears did the ESPN interview with Nate Oates. And then when both of them made their way down the hallway, a lot of celebration in the hallway here at Neville Arena before they made their way inside the locker room there. For you, now it's Auburn team that's number 1 in the country. They won't be there when the AP poll comes out again. They lost 2 this week, going to the SEC tournament and then the games that matter after Selection Sunday on Sunday. Right now, where are you on Auburn basketball? Obviously, still one of the, if not the best team in the country, best resume in the country. Where are you on Auburn right now?
I mean, I'm fine with where they are. Obviously, that's a loss that sucks, but I don't think they played their best game by any means. I think that they've struggled, like I said earlier, rebounding, and I can't remember if it was towards the end of regulation or in overtime, but Alabama was getting second, third chances because they could not get a rebound, secure a rebound. If they did, they were tipping it or bobbling it, and Alabama was getting the ball back. So I think that that's something that can be cleaned up. There are definitely things that can be cleaned up for both teams, but I'm not concerned by any means. I think that what I'm most concerned about is the Chad situation, because we have seen how much of a positive impact he can have on games. But you, as a coaching staff, and then as teammates as well, need to be able to have, confidence that something like that isn't going to happen. And there's no reason for them to have confidence that he's not going to lose his cool a little bit in these big games. So I think that's something that's definitely of concern and has been a little bit all season. I think some of the ticky tacky, like flashing the jersey, stuff like that was, you can't just look at the numbers of technical stuff like that because some of it I think was But when something happens like it did today, I think that is cause for a little bit of, hey, you got to keep your head on right. But for the team overall, no, I'm not concerned. I mean, this was a good competitive game. Alabama's a top 10 team in the country, and they've had a very, very successful season, and they've proven that they can beat good teams at home, on the road, on a neutral court. So, I mean, I think it's just back to back losses, not fun, but it happens. And they still won the SEC regular season, and at the end of the day, everyone's goal is to win a national championship. All of their goals and sights are still ahead of them. So I think it's how they bounce back mentally, and I feel like they'll do a good job of looking forward and moving past this.
AU Clay Chad Baker has to control his emotions. Ridiculous there. What
Yeah.
about offensive rebounding for Auburn and for Alabama tonight?
Alabama had 10 offensive rebounds. Auburn had 9.
9, 10, and 9, pretty even there. But offensive rebounds, that's stuff that can hurt you. Bama's a 3 seed in the tourney next week. That's correct with the win. Some of you are saying the 3 seed game is actually the last game of the day. I don't have it in front of me. I'll trust you guys on that. Either way, Auburn and Alabama, separate sides of the bracket, separate side of the session. So day session for Auburn, night session there for Alabama. A couple of more comments here as we start to wrap things up. Game ball on the Auburn side. Pick an Auburn player.
Johni Broome.
Johni Broome. Okay. Johni Broome is easy. Somebody else you were impressed with other than Broome? Let's do this. Here's a great stat for you. Miles Kelly had 0 in the first half, and then he came out on fire to start the second half.
He did. He hit, I think it was 3 in a row, 3 3-point shots in a row. In the first half, he did not score. He had 0 points in the first half. He ended the game with 13. And I think that's something that is special about Miles. And Bruce has talked about it in press conferences before. He's one of those guys, and a lot of, or all elite basketball players are like this. When you take a shot and you miss it, you can look past it very quickly. And that's not in the back of your mind when you're going to shoot again later in the game. And I feel like that is a great representation of that because his confidence didn't waver. So, yes, I think he was very impressive. And then Tahad as well. He hit a couple big shots. He missed 2 pretty big free throws down the stretch, which is uncharacteristic of him. He's typically pretty good at the free throw line, but it happens. But I think, yeah, Tahad and Miles were 2 who played pretty good as well.
All right. For me, my game ball is Grant Nelson with a little nod to Mark Sears with a bucket at the end. But Grant Nelson gets my game ball today. We'll break this all down for you again tomorrow with the basketball show recorded version. It's a mailbag version. So any questions you have about your favorite team, Auburn and Alabama, Taylor will send out a link at Next Round Live. You guys follow along there and let us know what you have question-wise, and we'll set the table for the SEC tournament, and then we'll be up there next week. So Alabama gets the win here, 93-91 over Auburn in overtime to wrap up what has been a really enjoyable regular season. We were talking about this earlier. It's blessed, man. Hashtag blessed all year long for us to get to cover 2 of the best teams in the country. We've been to so many basketball games here and in Coleman Coliseum, and we're looking forward to Nashville, and then looking forward to the NCAA tournament. It is good. It's good to have both these teams in our state, and good for a split this year. Alabama fans happy today, and Auburn fans are getting ready to be SEC champions and go into the postseason and hope to grab another championship. We'll see what happens in Nashville. Thank you for being with us here on the
on the basketball show.
No,
I'll help you out there.
So emotional.
Wait,
on the
please
basketball
stop.
show. See you guys.